everybody, Naomi back with IGN's E3 live show streaming at ya on e3.ign.com. Our next game is a love letter to old school gaming. Break out the nostalgia because Retro City Rampage is here.
Hey everybody, it's Peter Eichmanns once again, now with something completely different. We've got today a up-and-coming look at the downloadable game Retro City Rampage, and with me is its creator, Brian Provinciano from V-Blank Entertainment. Welcome, Brian.
Oh, thank you very much.
What would you like to tell everyone about Retro City Rampage, just to give them an introduction to what you've been doing?
So it's kind of like Super Mario meets GTA. So it's a big open world, 8-bit style where you can do everything. And by everything, I mean not just shooting and stealing cars, but jumping on pedestrians like Mario, swinging around a bionic arm, and it just goes from there.
Now, where did this idea come from? How did this all begin?
It evolved from my love for the NES and my love for GTA, and then kind of eventually grew out of that into just my love for comedy. And so it kind of really is just a send-up and love letter to my childhood, and then everything since that I like too.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you actually began this project as an actual recreation of Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yep, on the actual NES.
Tell us a little bit about the challenges of programming for something so ancient these days.
I'd say it takes about 10 times more work and about 10 times longer. And also it's got limitations. Like if people remember on the NES, there was a lot of sprite flicker. And that was because the hardware couldn't display more than 8 sprites per line. And a sprite is basically like the characters on the screen. They're generally composed of about 2 or 4 sprites each. And you could only display 8 per line. And so if you had more objects on screen, like the Ninja Turtles arcade game, then it would just flicker them different frames. And so things like that kind of led to it just not being as good as it could be. And so that was one of the reasons why I decided to just simulate the NES instead.
And of course you had a huge development team of dozens of people working with you on this, right?
Huge, huge.
Now tell us a little bit about what you did yourself and who you brought on to kind of help along the way.
Yeah, so I've done almost everything myself, from the programming, design, biz, and I did most of the art myself too, although about a year and a half ago I brought on a guy, Maxime Trepanier, and now he's done about a quarter of the art, and he is just phenomenal. I'm just so lucky. It's hard to find good help, and he's just amazing. And then I also have 3 guys doing audio. Leonard Paul's Freaky DNA, and Norin Rad, and Vert, who everyone knows, Jake Kaufman.
Yeah.
And so they've been in the industry, Jake, for a very long time. Len has actually been in since the Sega Genesis, so he knew about making chiptunes and stuff like that. So perfect fit, and it's got over 2.5 hours of music in it.
2.5 hours?
Of original chiptunes.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So run us through a little bit about what the story is going to be like in this game.
Yeah. So it kind of riffs off all sorts of stuff. So you're a henchman working for a clown-like super criminal. You go rob a bank, and then some green guys pop out of a sewer to attack you, and
green guys.
Some guys in a red and black van come out with a mohawk, and they try and attack you. And so it's kind of like that. And then eventually you see these 2 guys, these 2 cool dudes in this bogus booth, and you steal it, and it turns out to be a time machine. And so just from there, it's just, the whole thing is kind of pieced together just from nostalgic parodies and stuff like that.
Now, I don't know, it's been a process long in the making, this game.
Yeah.
I don't know, have you kept a list anywhere of exactly how many references to old school movies, comic books, games you've added in?
I absolutely lost track, but people were going through the trailer and picking them out, and that just made me so happy. And when the game is out, I look forward to reading on GameFAQs or something.
You're like, I don't even remember putting that in there.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny is there'll be cases where I'll put in a reference to something, and people will think it's something else, and I'll be like, yeah, it does look like that too. And I'll just be like, yeah, sure, that is, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, because it is this story-based game, you go through a bunch of different missions, what kind of, I mean, you mentioned the stomping on the heads and the stealing cars and the gunplay, but what other kind of things are people going to get into in the various shenanigans you set up along the way?
It really, I like to say, it's got more variety than GTA, and whereas GTA kind of focuses on driving and shooting, some missions play like old 80s coin-op games. There's an adventure game style, like a Monkey Island style mission in there, a side-scrolling water level. So it really just hits every genre imaginable. Mini games, you can go to the arcade, play arcade games, Rad Racer style. So go to the casino, play Mario 3 style mini games, the card game, and so forth. So it just goes on, and then you can go around the city, customize your character at the plastic surgery clinic or at the tattoo shop, or get a hat, things like that.
And how is this actually going to be reflected in a character that can't be more than like 80 pixels himself?
Right. So it does change the little guy, but also it changes your portrait. So when you're in dialogue talking with other characters.
Yeah. Do you want to take us into the game and show us a little more than this demo clip?
All right.
Just because there's entirely too much to cram into a little IGN live segment. But,
so we've got the story mode and the arcade mode. So arcade mode is like you were saying before, where it's just crazy action, like 60 seconds, get a high score, do some crazy destruction. And then if you really want to get into a GTA style, it's got the story mode. And so here it kind of introduces the character. So this is what the world looks like, a top-down, kind of Link to the Past style. And then it's got these beautiful cutscenes, which Maxim did.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Highly CG rendered. No,
Yeah.
it's definitely, I think, like you said, we've said it's a love letter. It's everything great about games, and I'm sure a reason why you got into making games, and a reason we're into talking about games all the time.
That's exactly it. Like, this really is, when I started making games, when I wanted to make games, I was drawing mock-ups of Sonic in MS Paint and things like that, and yeah, pretty much, not pretty much, I did get into games because of specific games I liked, and I always wanted to do my own version of whatever it was I liked. Now this is kind of everything in one.
Everything all at once. So when can players get their hands on this?
It'll be out in probably around the end of summer on XBLA, and then a few months later on WiiWare.
All right, cool. And what is something you'd love for people to know that maybe hasn't been discussed so far? Some kind of big secret or big addition that just hasn't been revealed yet, if you're willing to discuss.
The game's going to have some really awesome cameos with some other indie characters. One of them has an awesome game coming out this summer, so it's a nice tie-in, and that'll be revealed soon. One of the cameos involves a Rad Racer style minigame, so it's like 3D car racing, and it actually supports the red and the blue 3D glasses.
And it's too bad it's a downloadable game, because otherwise maybe you could ship it alongside just so people can get the full retro experience.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do. I mean, it would be great to somehow ship a copy with a download code and a box and everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of game that, because it includes so much aspects of the past and the collectors, it's going to grab all those kind of people that it's definitely the kind of people who would love to put something on the shelf along those lines.
Absolutely.
So that's it, I think, you guys. We've seen a small bit of Retro City Rampage. Brian, thanks for joining us on IGN Live today. And look for it later on Xbox Live this summer. And get your past on. Back to you, Naomi.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Really cool game. And okay, we're winding down to the end of the day, but don't feel sad. Madden NFL 12 is next.